Hello and welcome back. We have a new thing to talk about today. More specifically, today we are going to be talking about Zed. And when I say Zed, I don't mean any particular comp, any particular one set of itemization or anything like that. What I'm talking about when I say Zed is more of a concept of like what a flex line really looks like. And in a meta where I think flex is a word that you don't see a lot, you actually see it here, right? Like there are core units and there are flex parts of certain boards, right? I think at a lot of these boards, these flex parts are a little bit more locked in right now than maybe traditionally. You see Slayer, Shaco, and Zed says, you need Shaco, Jarvan, Zed, and the rest of the stuff is very flex, but you often will see people playing one variation. There's one thing that's relatively considered to be like the strongest thing or the thing you'll see people play towards pretty much every time. And so when I say Zed, what I mean more so is like how to play around the idea of like a Zed being on your board and then kind of playing around whatever else you hit on a level 8 roll down. This whole line is something that I made with some friends a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago before Trials Numero Uno for this set, which is kind of just like the first tournament of any kind of like greater competition sponsored by Riot this set. So just in general, but so I want to talk about that a bit, and I think it's something that is really helpful for climbing because if it's not something that's going to win a lot of games, I will say, and we're actually going to look at a game towards the end, just kind of go through a game I played today where I didn't win, but it turns a lot of spots that are maybe more ambiguous or just awkward, really, into pretty good games that are top 2s, top 3s. You can win, of course, like it is possible to win. You just need to hit a lot, which can happen for sure. So I want to talk about it a little bit more. Actually, that's not really where the strengths of the board, I guess what I mean when I say it doesn't win a lot is that the strength in it is not winning, it's like consistency, which we talked about a bit in a previous video. But consistency is kind of like what makes something good in any kind of meta and what makes something good in TFT, because sure, you can play, if you're super high rolling, you can play one thing one time, but you won't be able to do it every game, and that's okay, and you should still play for things like that. But what makes a line consistent is that you can play it relatively consistently, like use the similar framework game to game and have a place to go off of. So I want to talk about the core, and those previous comps like here, right? You have these flex parts and you have these core parts. I think the thing that differentiates this core that I'm about to show you, right, this Gragas, Zed, Jarvan, Mundo, Rast, Senna from this core, is that you actually often find your carry, like a secondary carry, in this flex part, which you don't normally see here, right? You can see flex part is like you're carrying Zed and you're carrying Shaco. You're carrying, this is Veigar, I don't know why, but I guess it's Veigar. This is the brand Ziggs one, that's why. I see. I'm blind. Basically, you see like a lot of the carries are just in this core part. And so the cool part about this board is that your secondary carry is actually very flexible. So this is your core, generally speaking, I would say. It's a very good core for offense and for defense. Your Force Slayer, which you're like, okay, well, yeah, you're playing some crappers for Force Slayer, aren't you? And the answer is actually no, which is pretty cool. So what you have is you have Senna, who we'll talk about in a second, but she's good. You have Jarvan, who is tanky. You have Mundo, who is just a good synergy bot for Bruiser and connects to a couple other pieces we'll talk about. Rast, 2 Divinicore, just like the Gragas and Rast make a good front line because you're getting a bunch of HP from Divinicore, right? You can see here if we cover it. Rast is giving you Armor and MR, Gragas is giving you HP, Senna is giving you AD. You're getting a lot of just stats for the board. And it makes for a good time. And this set of units also connects to a billion different things. First, I want to talk about these units first and why we play them, though, and I'll go through them one by one. Gragas and Rast, actually, we just mentioned a little bit. They're just kind of a solid core for making a front line, 2 Divinicore, right? Mundo also just connects to Slayer. Not a particularly good unit. He did get better this patch, for what it's worth. He got buffed a bit, but more so, he's on the board just as like an easy way to connect Gragas to the rest of the board, to connect Force Slayer, to fit in Force Slayer and stuff. Jarvan, so last patch, Jarvan was insane, right? He had a huge amount of damage, huge amount of tankiness, and so he got nerfed this patch, but he actually mostly just got, or not even mostly, just he only got nerfed on his damage. So he went from 350% AD on his spell ratio to 280. You can see there it says damage 280, right? But he's actually still very, very tanky. He's still benefiting from Force Slayer in that, like, Zed and Senna, as they attack, will be healing him if he's lowest HP, because its Slayer works like that. It has like a built-in Gunblade type effect. Yeah, so Jarvan's just tanky. He's good. Zed obviously is kind of we're gonna say the star of the show here. Secretly, he's not. It's actually Senna more so. But so Zed is cool in that he can hold a lot of items, right? We'll talk about itemization because these like Jarvan, Mundo, Rask, Gragas, you don't need to worry about any particular items. Just like generic tank items are pretty good. But Zed, I think, particularly wants one thing, and it's not what you think per se. Well, maybe two things. So he can use swords really well, right? So like you can go like Edge of Night, like Deathblade, not that Deathblade IEZ if you want. It's fine. Whatever. You can go IE Hodge, etc., etc. But what Zed really likes, and actually this is Hodge is probably his best item. Zed likes mana, and there's a very particular reason for why Zed likes mana. So if we full board this real quick, so this is going to be a quick little thing in positioning, because let's talk through the units one by one, because it's just useful. So positioning Zed is all about hitting these corners. I'm sure you've probably seen a video, or maybe not, on how to position Zed before, but basically if there's units in either corner, so how Zed's spell works is he jumps to a unit 4 hexes away, right? So in most of your fights, especially in a street demon meta where people will be having like Brand and Ziggs and stuff in these corners, your Zed should almost either be here 3 hexes from the front left, or here 3 hexes from the front right. And the reason for that, right, is that when he ults from when he's here, he'll go here, or potentially here if there's a unit here, which there often will be actually a unit here, and you just have a 50-50. The bright side though is that if he goes here, he'll immediately go here next, or here, right, where he'll go here or here, same deal. And so one of the most important parts about Zed is that, and the things that makes him a very good unit, is that he is really consistent positioning wise. You can almost always say, okay, if they're going that back corner, I can hit them on that back corner. Again, if he goes like here, it's just going to be a little bit longer till he gets here. It can change fights for sure, but it won't be, if you're, as long as you're not like super low or anything, it won't be the biggest diff. It'll still be a good fight, generally speaking. And the reason why mana is so good is that you just want to get onto these guys really quickly, and you want to mark them really quickly. Because how Zed works is that once he marks someone, which is the person he jumps to, they're marked the rest of the fight. And so every time Zed ults, they get hit again. It's actually why if you ever see people run blue buff Zed is very good. For example, I think like one of my favorite Zed itemizations is actually this. You just go Hodge, blue buff, IE. You have a 1 auto cast, so you get to backline really quickly. You have a ton of damage. Edge of Night is like okay on him, but Zed also has a built-in aggro drop in his kit, where every time he jumps, he is just dropping aggro and he's living. So blue buff actually ends up being almost a better Edge of Night in that he just casts more often, and so he's getting that aggro drop more frequently. He's doing more damage more frequently. Something like this item-wise is really cool. You don't need this. I mean, you can just go triple sword Zed and it's fine, and it's one of the strengths that I talked about actually in a previous video, is that Zed just uses swords well. But you know, secretly, like, he loves tiers, and nothing else on this board. Let's say you're playing around like Slayers early, you get dropped a bunch of tiers. You're like, oh, what do I do with these? Well, you just make Zed items, and it's pretty good. Zed items are great. Tier makes some really good Zed items. Sword makes some really good Zed items. It doesn't really. I think he's like pretty nonchalant with itemization, right? It doesn't really. You don't need anything in particular on him. There are things that are better than other things, and things that will stabilize you harder than other things. But there's nothing in particular that you 100% need to make him function. He can use, you know, you can have these items. You can have you can even have like triple Hodge. You can have Hodge IE. You can have you know, BT IE Deathblade, and I'm sure it's fine. Like, there's all kinds of ways to build him, and basically you just need items that make sense on him. Items that let him hit things for a lot, let him stay alive a little bit, just damage stuff in general. And that brings us to what in my opinion, the best unit on the board, and that's Senna. And you might be like, well, huh? Senna costs 3 gold. Zed costs 4 gold. How is she the best unit on the board? And we'll see this a little bit in the video that I'm about to go through with you guys. About to is a strong word. We're going to talk for probably 10 minutes before we get there. But we're going to go through a VOD of a game of this I played today. And Senna is just so consistent without needing like almost any investment. When I say without needing any investment, I mean that you don't need Senna 3. And this is actually something that I think was interesting about the Vayne comp last patch. Vayne really, in my opinion, was hard carried by Jarvan and Senna, right? Like Vayne 3, and particularly this patch, by the way, and why often if you're in a Slayer spot, I think you probably shouldn't play a lot of Vayne per se, is that I think Vayne is really bad. So she's like okay on the Slayer board still because just has a lot of support on them. But like Vayne 2 on like a random board, like an anima board or something, doesn't really do a lot. Not a lot of damage coming out of her, and not a lot of consistency. And the thing that really made that board shine, like the reason why she was playable, in my opinion, or so good rather, not even just playable, was so good, was that Jarvan was broken. And then secretly, Senna is also just a broken unit. And when I say that, I don't mean that. Actually, if you've seen like Mort Dog's recent video about balancing, which I recommend going to watch, just you can find it on his channel. He mentions that Senna 3 is not that good compared to Vayne 3, right? But the power in Senna isn't Senna 3, and that's kind of the trick to playing Slayers, and why Slayer Flex is like such a potent line and such a consistent line, is that the key to Slayers is Senna 2. And so if you have a Senna 2 with like, again, like the itemization is so flexible. You can go sword items, you can go guard breaker, you can go QSS. I can't put more than 3 items on this lady. You can go like QSS, you can go Hodge on her, you can go Last Whisper on her, you can go IE on her. Technically you can go Shojin. It's pretty mid. I wouldn't go Shojin. You can go Red Buff on her, Runans on her. I said that I put them on in the wrong order as I was saying them. If you have Edge of Night, this is one of my favorite things to do. If you have the Edge of Night augment that gives you an Edge of Night and makes them give you a bunch of attack speed, you can put Edge of Night on her very successfully. Morello's even. If you want to put Morello's on her, that's totally fine. She's just so easy to itemize, and with anything on her, she'll do well. Without anything on her, she'll still do well. But with anything on her, she's such a valuable unit. Senna 2, on a board that looks like, let's say your board is just this, right? Let's say your board is just this. Senna 2 with 3 items is doing similar damage to this Zed in a lot of fights, which is crazy, because Senna 2 shouldn't be, maybe. She's a 3 cost, he's a 4 cost. And she's really pretty consistent to hit, right? Not a lot of boards play Senna, not a lot of Vayne running around. So, like, there are worlds where you can go Senna 3 and it's a pretty strong cap, but you only need Senna 2 to have a lot of success. And that this is where like the real flexibility of the board comes from, I think, in that let's say you have a bunch of items, right? You have some tank, you have like some item augments, you have some tank items on Jarvan. Let's say you have like, I don't know, you build an Even Shroud and a Declaw, and then you have some Zed items, and then you have a bunch of leftover components. You need a carry, but you don't have the goal to find a 4-cost carry per se. Maybe you just end up like throwing stuff like this on Senna, and then all of a sudden this Senna is absolutely pumping, and your board is stable. For a couple reasons. And now that we've talked about some of the units, I want to talk about more how the board functions and why it's good. Particularly now with Street Demon being so popular, I think this board gets even better. I think the new patch, obviously, if you've been keeping up with the meta, Street Demon is looking very good. All the brand boards are looking absolutely nasty. And the cool thing about those boards, right, for this Zed, is that, you know what Street Demon players can't do? I'll give you a second to answer it. Ding, 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 you're right. Street Demon players can't position. And you know why they can't position? Because they have hexes, little special boy hexes they have to put their little special boys in. Otherwise, they don't get the special boy stats. And there is no Street Demon player alive who is going to say, oh, I have a Zed in my pool of 3 players, so I think I'll move out of the special boy hex just in case. They're not going to do that. They're going to keep it in the hex and just eat the Zed ult if they have to, right? Generally speaking, and this is like high challenger that people still do this, right? They don't move out of their special boy hex. They don't want to like risk losing another fight just to maybe have a better fight into you when it's a 1 out of 3 chance, right? Maybe if Zed becomes more popular and there's more Zed players, it'll happen more. But as of right now, positioning pretty easy. If you look at the other comps that are really meta right now, actually, I don't even know if it'll be in the play rates properly, but so TF, I think the 3 big ones in my mind are, or 4 big ones are Vex, TF, Brand, and Marksman Vanguard. And Zed eats Marksman Vanguard alive because he's just hitting carries guaranteed. Same with Brand Nico. He's very good into that. It's a little overtuned, so it can still be. I think it's a positive matchup, but a harder matchup still. But you're on the important carries very quickly. Same thing with TF. There's only one unit in TF who does anything until they hit like Draven 3, and that's TF, and you kill TF pretty easily. Even with Gunblade, he's dying pretty quickly, in my experience. Especially if it's not 3-starred, you just like on stage 4, you are eating these guys alive. And then I think Vexotech is probably the hardest one because Vex can like kind of just look at Zed and kill him potentially. That's a harder matchup. It's still very doable, I would say. But just be aware of that. It's a matchup where like if you get on Vex quickly, it can be okay. If you get on like a Varus quickly, it can be okay. But it's harder, and that's okay. But you have a pretty good matchup spread into the meta just in general, and that's just with Zed, by the way. That's not with anything else. And so I want to talk a bit more about the idea of flexing with this board, because the cool thing about this board, right? So you don't need Senna items for what it's worth, right? We talked about that. So let's say you just have these items, and then all of a sudden you hit, like, you get to wolves, and you get dropped a Shojin, and you get dropped like 2 rods. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with that, right? Ugh, what am I supposed to do with that? And then you roll down, and you see 3 Vexes, right? You see 3 Vexes on your roll down. All of a sudden, your board looks like this, right? You're playing Vex, you have like AP item, you have mana generation item, and then you stick an Executioner on. Let's say you don't even hit an Urgot. Let's say you just play a Varus. This board is still very strong, right? It has this positive matchup spread into the meta. It's taking out key targets quickly, and you have consistent backline DPS. Easy peasy. Let's say you don't hit Vexes, though. You have these AP items, you don't hit Vex. What are you supposed to do? Let's say you hit an Aurora. Aurora 1, turns out, is pretty good, especially with hitting backline, where Zed already hits backline, and she does that as well. Very easy to play this. What's this? Simple, right? Let's say you don't hit Auroras either. But all of a sudden, you're not playing Brand, but this is the one game you're hitting a bunch of Brands. What are you supposed to do now? You're mad at the game. You're mad at Mort for not giving you Brands in your Brand game, but giving you Brands in your Zed game. Well, boom. Boom. You have to be careful with this one. I will say, you should always prioritize Zed positioning over putting him in a Street Demon Hex on this board. So, like, still keep him here, even if the Street Demon Hexes aren't here and here, I would say. But it's just, again, another way to, like, use your... Like, everything fits, basically. Everything fits. If you have AD items, right, but you don't want to just play around Senna, or you have, like, extra AD items. You have, like, Senna items in stuff for something else. Something that I do a lot, actually, is I actually switch up this core a bit. And I will play MF here. I will play Morg / like, if you hit the big dude, play the big dude instead. And then, instead of playing 2 of these guys, I will take out this. I will take out this. And all of a sudden, it becomes Braum and Darius. Where are Braum and Darius? There we go. Braum, Darius. Braum, Darius. And the cool thing is that you can actually just take out Rast and Gragas too, and that's totally fine. You don't have to. You can take out either set, which if you don't have like if you have Gragas 1 and Rast 1, but like 2-star Mundo and Jarvan, just take out those instead and keep playing Force Slayer. That's totally fine. Something I actually love doing as well is if you have this part and you want to play, let's say you have really awkward augment selection on 2-1, right? And you get like a stuck with a Slayer spat, you know what to do with it. This board is actually very, very, very good. Let's say you have Jarvan here. Jarvan. And let's say you have, where's the dude? Mundo. Mundo, where are you? I'm blind. There he is. He looks like the cow for some reason to me. And then you have a Slayer spat. All you have to do is stick in a 6 Slayer. You can actually do this. This is something I'll do a decent amount, is I'll play Shaco so I can play Dynamo. You can also very easily just play... It's whether you need more frontline or more damage, in your opinion. Some boards you'll just need more frontline than you will damage, but like these are kind of interchangeable. I think the Darius and the Shaco. You always want to play the Braum and the Jarvan in this variation, but one of these two, and then if you do play the Shaco, you just put in like Morg or Aurora if you have Aurora. If I'm hitting Aurora, I'll pretty much always drop the Darius and play like Shaco Aurora in my experience. But this is a board that is really good. Actually, I played this in Tactician's Trials, and it top forward me from like a really weird spot. And that's kind of what this type of flex is really good at. Is again, it's not going to win a ton of games because these are like kind of all interim boards. Is maybe the way to think about it, right? Because if you're playing this board, ideally what this turns into is you use this on 8. You just kind of play whatever you hit. Is this like flex little like secondary carry, right? Whatever you hit, whether it be Brand or Vex or MF or anything like that, or Aurora, whatever. You don't want to invest too much gold necessarily into it because you want to be able to go 9, and the way you cap is you get to like Slayer Spat Renekton in this situation, right? Or like Slayer Spat Urgot, and you then put like Cho'Gath on your board and like Viego and 5 costs and all of that. Which we can talk about that a little bit, but it's like it's still like what you're hitting. Like if you're hitting Renektons, then like look for Renekton 2. If you're hitting Zacs, look for like Zac for more frontline. Hitting like Urgot, look for like make sure to hold Cho and stuff. I think that's like a little bit more like, not fluid, but intuitive maybe per se. So like, these boards are boards to get you to 9, generally speaking. They're not boards where you want to end the game on. They're boards you can end the game on, and that's important to note. They're a board that you are certainly able to end the game on, and you will probably top 4, top 5 from a bad spot. But they're like they're kind of like the middle ground between where you are and where you want to be. And they're like a cheap way to make a good board. Because like a Z1 can actually beat like a Brand 2 and like a... it can beat Brand 2. Like if they're just Brand 2, if they're like Brand 2, Nico 2, Ziggs 2, you're probably going to need a Z2. But like you can keep up, right? You can keep up for sure. You can still feel free to roll a lot on 8. Like in some spots, if you feel like you're just playing for top 4, which is totally fine. Just like it was actually looking the game we'll look at today is one where I just kind of rolled a lot on 8 because I needed to just look for a top 4 because I missed Z really hard. And that's fine. Just keep rolling on 8 until you have your Z. That's A-okay. But yeah, there are all kinds of variations of this. All kinds of variations of different Slayer boards. It's really... The big thing is that it's Slayer Flex, right? Slayer Spat... Like, if you want to take a Slayer Spat... And I guess the question is, why would you do this? And that's because there's a lot of tempo to be found, but not necessarily a lot of, like, meta direction to be found from some of these early units that you can play around, right? So I'll actually talk about that a little bit, because that's probably worth speaking about. So what you'll find yourself, this kind of spot where you'll be in, where you end up here, is you'll find yourself with some of these units, right? Like some combination of like Alistair, Mundo, maybe you like hit a Shaco too, maybe you hit a Senna off an orb, or a Jarvan off an orb, or maybe both, like a Beast. Or like a Gragas, right? Like all these units that are, you can say Vayne too, like if you're like are playing Vayne for 4 Slayer. I think Rast is in this category as well, where like you're playing around like Rast Vi or something. All these units are really good, right? Particularly Alistair and Mundo right now, they just got buffed a lot. They are 2 of the strongest units in the game when they're relevant, which is like stage 2, right? And so if you have an Alistair and a Mundo and you have AD items, I think it can often be really hard to figure out what to do, particularly if you have like swords or like a sword and a tier and something, and you're like, well, there's like 3 brand players already. I don't want to reroll Zyra because I don't have enough Zyras. I don't want to play towards like Aphelios and Xayah because you know, it's like a little more tenuous, and I don't need a lot of gold for that. I don't know if gonna have a lot of gold this game, and I want to, you know, play for more tempo. So in this kind of spot, if you have these guys, this is where Slayer Flex becomes insanely good, because if you take something like a Slayer Spat here, you get so strong, but people don't know what to play from it, right? Like if you have these 2 units in a Senna drop from an orb, right, and you have like a Shaco and a Vayne or something, and you take Slayer Spat, all of a sudden your board is absolutely cracked on 2-1. You're winning every fight. You're like 4 Slayer on 2-1 with big front line, playing around Divinicore. You're like putting Rast on your board. You're getting like or Slayers, but like Vi 2, right? You're getting like more and more Divinicore. The way you get stronger is very natural. It's very easy, but it doesn't lead to a lot. Again, of meta-wise. Actually, side note, this is actually where like Senna holding a bunch of items is very good, because Senna can hold Hodge super well. She can hold like your Shred, your anti-heal, everything through like stage 2, and it feels really good. She can hold your Z items very easily. Maybe not blue buff, but everything else. So, yeah, but the big thing is that in this kind of situation where like it feels really good to have a lot of tempo, but it feels bad to not have a lot of like very solid meta direction, Zed Flex becomes amazing. Slayer Flex just in general becomes so potent. So this is the kind of spot where you'd want to play it from. I wouldn't, like, don't go into your game, go lose 40 HP, then pivot into Zed, right? That's gonna go poorly. That is not how you play this. This is not a board that is like a line that is meant to be played, a concept that is meant to be engaged with when you are playing from like super far behind. It's kind of just a tool to use to put yourself ahead in a spot where you might not be willing to put yourself ahead otherwise, right? Because a lot of people, when they're in a spot like this, would just choose to even like lose fights, because then they gets them more easily to their brands, to their Vexotex, to their marksman and stuff. But this lets you have a line to play from like a high tempo position where you're not high rolling a meta board, like a meta line at all, but you know that you have the tools to play a strong fight, which I think you'll find that a lot. You can play a strong fight. It just can be a little awkward to figure out what to get from there, and so people will stray away from it. And this is what, yeah, this is what it's good at. It's giving you a bunch of outs for a situation that you can actually like I'd say soft force. Like you can find yourself into like you can like lose the first 3 fights of stage 2 while holding Slayers, and then often like find yourself spiking on level 5 and just getting to some kind of like really good Slayer board. And like if I ever get like a Senna drop from Orb, for example, I'll pretty much always play around this. If I ever get like Alistair 2 drop or Mundo 2 drop, I'll always make sure I'm holding like my Rasts. If I ever get dropped a Senna, I'm holding it there. Like I'll hold my Vaynes, I'll hold my Shakos. Yeah. pretty good in my opinion. You can also like there's a lot of different variations to get here, right? You can like put AD items on like a Neferi and play like I did this today. I had like this board, like Alistair, Mundo, Neferi, Nidalee for a bit. And then I was building AD items on Neferi, and as soon as I hit a Senna, it just became very quickly, you know, like drop this, play like Senna, Vayne, Shaco, right? Where's the other guy? Something like this. And so it basically just lets you build AD items and streak around them with an out, is the TLDR. Yeah, and it's very good. It's very good at that. Again, you're not going to win a ton of games with it, but you will top 4 spots that you might not have top 4ing otherwise with a lot of consistency. And you'll just, you know, save years on your life not feeling like you're going to have a heart attack for being 1 HP while the whole lobby is 1 HP as well. And it's whoever plays the server guy dies, etc., etc. So yeah, that's the strength of it. I want to watch a game together. We won't watch the whole thing maybe. We're watching 2 times speed. But this is a game where I play this Zed flex line. And it is actually like, it's a hard game, right? So we can see immediately that I get dropped this Senna. And also let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do more like VOD review of myself or other players, because it's kind of useful. Actually, let me make this a little bit bigger as well. It seems like something I'd be willing to do more of. I just don't know if people want to see it, per se. So let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Yeah, so anyways, we get dropped Senna. So as soon as I get dropped Senna, I'm like, okay, this could potentially be some kind of like dead flex thing, but make sure I hold on to it. It's just a good unit in general to hold on to when you have this line in mind, because there's a lot of ways to do it. An Alistair too. It's a crazy good opener, right? Also, this is a Scuttle Puddle lobby, so the caps of the lobby are going to be high, which it just goes to show that this is a top 4. Spoiler alert, this is a top 4. But it goes to show that like this board even doesn't have the highest cap in the world. In top 4 a lot of spots. And so here, yeah, this is like, you know, I don't have the Senna on the board yet because I'm thinking about it. But you know, you hold the cow, you hold Mundo, and you just leave yourself options. Like I can play AP here, and this is the big thing. I think that people, hopefully this will be a tool to help you get better at TFT as well, playing a line like this, because the key to this line is not playing it every game. You're not gonna one trick this. You could try, maybe, I don't know, maybe you could, but you shouldn't. The power of this line is actually very similar for Neferi, which we talk about a lot on the channel as of the last week or so. The power of these lines is not one-tricking them. It's like playing them when you have a spot for them, and then playing other meta comps when you have the spot for them. So in this spot, this could be a brand opener, right? Or like a Zyra reroll opener. It could be a bunch of things. I have tier, oh, you can't actually see my items, sorry. I have tier and I have bow. So my spot's very open, and so I'm just holding outs. And so what I'll do often here is that if I feel like I don't have a strong opener, I'll just play towards the Slayer thing here. If I feel like I have a way to like win fights while playing towards something better, potentially, I'll do that. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind it. So I get dropped Trick Love, Tier, Bow, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to sack this stage. I do want to be strong. And so we end up clicking Artifact Ample here, because Zed can use artifacts really well. And so generally speaking, augment-wise on this line, you just want things that give you items, things that give you board strength. I don't want like a lot of econ, I think. You certainly can take it and it's fine, but not the best thing in the world in my opinion. See here, I mean, the board is pretty strong. It's just this 2-star Vi, which is a great unit. It's a Senna, and so we end up looking at potentially making Hodge when we need it. Never slam items if you don't need them, by the way. Not worth slamming an item if you don't need it to actually win the fight. You should leave yourself a little bit more room to play than that. And so here, I look around and I'm like, okay, well, I think I double level. Might not double level. Okay, I don't double level because I decide that I don't need to double level to win any fights, which is again an important concept. Don't spend money if you don't need to. But so, you know, I'm just playing 2 Slayer, playing around the Bruisers. It's very strong. I mean, I'm able to slam Hodge really comfortably. I didn't want to slam Last Whisper because you know, it's not like the most impactful thing on the board yet, and I'm not too sure if I'm going to be playing AD or if I'm going to be playing Zed with AD, if I'm going to be playing Zed with AP. Right, and so it leaves you a lot of room to make like very generic items on stage 2 and still use them well. So like a red buff is really good here. Last Whisper is slammable if I want to. I think it's totally fine to slam if I end up just getting Quick Love and want the tempo from it. But I don't need to yet, and that's okay. So you see, like we're just running over boards. We're very strong. The Bruisers are very strong. Like having upgraded to dudes is very strong. I have 4, and this is an important concept too, that I have 4 Slayer here, but it's just not better. It's just not better than playing 2 Vanguard, and so I just end up staying on 2 Vanguard, which is totally fine. So I'm just winning fights. You don't need to see too much. 1 Cypher player there. So we're pretty rich. You know, we have weird direction, I think, if you only think of the patch as like those few comps that are good. But here, I'm going to play Force Slayer now that I hit Jarvan. Pretty high roll early game for what it's worth. It gets less high roll later. But, you know, having a Senna, it just shows so like if you're willing to play around a Senna on stage 2, it's so good. I think we actually do lose this, though. Or do we? No, we won. Nice. So we're still making a lot of money. Here, tough choices. Something like I think in hindsight, I actually maybe would have taken Not Today if I went back in time in this spot, but I decided to go for Bad Luck Protection. It's a lot of crit, or a lot of AD right now because I have 2 crit items on my Senna. Right, I have 2 crit items on my Senna that with no IE, so it just ends up being a lot of AD. It gives a crit glove, which is good. So, not terrible. Still kind of just waiting for the artifact anvil, but you can see like the tempo of this is insane. And even if I wasn't in the fights, I mean the fights were steamrolls, right? So even if I wasn't Alistair 2, if I was just like Alistair 1, Mundo 1, like with a Vi 2, I still would have been winning all those fights. You know, there's a Kane 2 here too now, which again, like it's very good, but it doesn't have to be a Kane 2 or Rast 2 rather for me to still be strong in this kind of spot. Kind of the key to like the tempo of this board or this line is that it's really easy to find your next in, right? Because this could be Gragas and I could just be playing 3 Bruiser with more Divinicore, or it could be like dropping Vayne and playing like 2 Slayer with 4 Bruiser. This could be like a Morgana and I hit like or maybe like a Jin 2 or something. Like there's all kinds of easy ins because Divinicore and Bruiser and Slayer just connect to like everything, right? This could be like I have a Silas 2. And so instead of playing Force Slayer, I'm like Vayne plus Silas 2 plus Anima unit. There's all kinds of variations as long as you're willing to be a little bit more flexible with it. This kind of line is like the king of flex, I think, this set. So we end up taking Bad Luck Protection. It's actually crazy. You could take Mace's Will there and get 6% attack speed and 20% crit chance on your team. Or you could just get Giga AD. Anyways, so we end up losing our first fight. That's totally fine. It's going to happen. The rest of the stage goes like, it's like win-loss, win-loss, and that's okay. And taking Death's Defiance, looking for, you know, just another Zed item here. I'm probably like looking at like double Hodge, Death's Defiant, Zed. Again, very flexible with items. You can kind of put whatever you want on him. You end up winning most of the stage, again, because the board is just very strong. A lot of these things we can keep. And so here, I'm thinking 2 things, right? I get dropped double Rod. I end up reforging one immediately because I already have some Senna items, so I'm probably just going to want more Senna items, likely. But I can play around pretty much anything. So I end up getting dropped. I get dropped Belt, Crit Glove, Bow, Rod, Chain. And so in this roll down, I've identified a couple things already. I'm probably not playing AP. The cool thing about this line is that even though you have a lot of room to flex around another 4-cost carry, you don't have to. And this is an example of one of those games actually where I didn't have to. Because you can just dual carry a Senna 2. If you have really good Senna items, but not enough items for a 3rd carry, or you want to make Jarvan items or something, you can just dual carry Senna 2 and be okay with it. And so here, I'm not really looking for anything other than like 1 Zed and a Senna 2, generally speaking. I know that I can just dual carry Senna here and be really stable and just go fast 9. I know I can also, like, if I roll deep, that I can play like MF or something, but probably not, right? Like, it's a little awkward because my whole front line's like gonna be upgraded, probably the Rast. It being Rast 2 and like me having Jarvan pair means I'm probably not dropping either Vanguard for a Braum. And so I'm not really too interested in playing any of that stuff. I'm considering maybe playing an Urgot, though it's a little bit awkward with Bad Luck Protection because you lose a lot of the value of Executioner if you have Bad Luck Protection. So it's a spot where like there's not a lot to flex around. Or as in, like, there's not a lot I like really care about hitting besides like 1 Zed and a Senna 2 and a Jarvan 2. Because like if next shop I hit Zed, Senna, Jarvan, I'm just going 9 here. And that's exactly one of the you know, really strong points of this board and how you win out with this board. Actually, when you do win out with this board is that you just have a spot where you can just stabilize off Senna 2, like Zed 1 and a Jarvan 2. But then if you're playing from behind, like just even a little bit behind, right? Because there are spots where like you'll win stage 2. And this is what someone was probably thinking when I said that it's a line that you play when you're, you know, have a lot of board traits on stage 2. Sometimes you will just be like you'll like have the board, you'll have a Seta, you'll have the Bruisers, and you'll just lose some fights. You won't be super rich, you won't be like in the best spot of all time. You'll be like middling HP or like slightly more than middling HP in the lobby. And that's where the power of this board on level 8 is so good. This line level 8 is so strong, and that you can just set it to 0 and 8 and just say, fuck it, I'm gonna top 4. Right, and just like play around with 4-cost carry and cap out around that on 8 and just win like every fight on stage 4 and be okay. Also, don't look at the scores in the corner, or do. I did poorly today. Weird day for TFT for me. That's okay though. Yeah, every day can't be a good day, I guess. Yeah, so there's a lot of room. So a lot of room to play with. So in this spot, I think you want to think of 2 things. If I hit really quickly, I can go 9 and just play around whatever. If I don't hit really quickly, then I'm probably like stuck on 8, and I maybe want to look for another 4-cost carry or some other big thing. It can be kind of hard from this spot though, because I'm in a really good spot to hit on 8, right? I'm like 1 Senna away, 1 Jarvan away, 1 Zed away from being really strong, and so we can watch the roll down, and you will just see me utterly whiff out the wazoo. As in, I don't see a single Zed. I decided to move the stuff around a little bit. I see an Urgon, so I'm like, okay, well maybe I can try to play around that, but it is really awkward with bad luck protection. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, oh man, I didn't hit Jarvan 2, I didn't hit a Zed. Feels kind of doomed. I have a lot of HP though, so that's nice. And I ended up taking lethal rerouting just to... probably a bad take, actually. I think I was tilted. I don't think I should take that there, but I did. So not a great spot, right? I'm still 0 Zeds. I still don't have a Zed. I'm like... You can see my face in the corner, or you can't see my face in the corner, because my face right now is in the corner, but my face in the corner was like, what? Huh? How'd that happen? So, weird spot now, right? I actually end up winning this fight, I think, as well, which is crazy. So, like, this board... You can see the strength of this board even is just, like... Like, even without the Zed, it's still strong. Just having, like 4 Divinicore, 4 Slayer, and then, like flexing around units. It's still a strong, very strong core for just, like, doing things. And you can see Senna just going crazy, by the way. How much damage she did. She did 7.2k, and she has a Morello's and a Last Whisper on her. So I finally hit a Zed. And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm maybe on 8 this game. I think I ended up saying that I'm strong enough here to not go 8. You can see, so Zed jumps around. I got unlucky on the jump RNG there, unfortunately. But he doesn't even care, really. He's still doing his thing. I win this fight, by the way. This person, I want you to look at this person's board. This person is... And they're 1-star this guy, right? But they're 2-star Xayah, they're 2-star Jinx, they're 2-star this guy, 2-star this guy. Good items on Leona, decent items here, really good items here. With a Cypher cash out. And our Zed just doesn't care. Z1 is Z1 Senna, pretty good. You look at the Senna damage in this fight as well. I'm sure I didn't actually see it last time, but I'm sure it's high. Yeah, she did more damage than Zed. So it's just a solid core, right? You take augments that make your board stronger, and then you just play around that very like budget core, and you'll win fights. And even this spot, like where it kind of looked doomed because I just hit 0 Zeds and like 50 gold, it's still playable. It's still very playable, right? I hit Vex 2, and I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. Pretty good. I end up playing this Brand guy. I get a little unlucky with the Zed RNG again. And we get kind of steamrolled. That's okay. That guy's probably winning the game. You end up playing this other Zed guy, right? This guy is Z2, Zeri 2 with Radiant Rageblade on the Zeri. Also Cypher cash out. But turns out that Zed just does not care. That Zed just got blown up. Or that Zeri got blown up. She actually jumped into the Jarvan cast, which is funny. You got hit by... What even happened there? She's autoing. But she just fully died to Zed plus like Senna ult or something, I think. But yeah, we win this fight too, right? And I mean, like, you can't even say the lobby's not strong. I've been fighting a bunch of 2-star 4-costs, right? There's Zac on the board, there's Sedge, there's Radiant Item Zeri, there's Zed2, and we're beating it. So it's just a very solid core of units. You can see my front line lasts for, like, a pretty long time for free. The units are inexpensive. I'm really still carrying a Z1. It's a super, super massive gold cash out, or gold drop from this creep route. And so that says... Okay, well, I probably want to find Z2, but I also probably want to just go 9. And so I decided I just want to go 9 here, and I still have room to cap out if I go 9. So I buy a Cho 2, I buy an Aurora, and I end up just like saying, well, I can just fit in this Morgana, right? We can actually look at this a little bit. So I say, okay, well, I know I want to play this Aurora that I just hit. I'm on 9. I decide to tech in Morgana and drop 2, or I didn't drop 2 Slayers. What did I drop? All right, I went too far ahead. I didn't even actually, I was already playing Morgana, even, it turns out. And so, Aurora fits very naturally, and you can see that you can just kind of play whatever you hit, right? Whatever you hit is that you're able to play. It's very, very easy to play whatever you hit here. And so, and all of a sudden, I'm on an Aurora. And Aurora, pretty good unit. Zed kind of falls a bit low. I think he actually ends up clearing this fight, though. Yeah, and you can fit everything you hit, and that again, that's the power of it. Like there's nothing that's low roll. There's a ton of things that are high roll. I decided to play Garen to play. I have a lot of HP, and Garen is a really good way to cap out this board because it lets you go for Divinicore, Zed, as well as like Slayer, Renekton, and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll play Renekton instead of the Garen. Then I decide not to. And I'm just getting confused here. I'm still a little tilted from the roll down. So here we're playing against Aphelios 2, Xayah 2. I think we end up losing this actually. Hey, man, surely we don't win this, right? I mean, this guy looks kind of strong. It's pretty close, though. Pretty close. And I'm still on Z1, still not really playing anything super crazy. I'm on Z pair now. I'm like, please give me Z2. Please give me Z2. I have Renekton pair. I'm trying to figure out how to play it. I decided to play it over Morg and just drop Dynamo. Totally fine. You see us playing against a TF player here. You know, tough fight because we're Z1, but we're Z2 soon, trust. We do finally hit Z2 here, by the way. And then we end up in the brand board, which you lose to because the Z jumped to the wrong side. That's okay, but we're already top 4, right? Just from all the HP we saved from like the line being so strong through stage 3 and stage 4, we're already top 4, and we have room to cap out on level 9 here. Here, I think we barely lose this one, actually. We do go on the Samira. I think that what happens here is the Samira actually dodges the Z ult as she's moving. Yeah, she dodged that Z ult right there, actually. You know what? I'm going to slow-mo this. I was talking about this on stream. I want to see her dodge this Z ult because it's really sad for me, but really funny. Ready? So if Samira dies here, we win. Watch this Z ult. Ready? Z ults, she jumps away. That's me on the Rift, by the way. That's me on Summoner's Rift. He goes to ult. The Shadow goes to spin. Or, no, okay, not yet. It's really slow-mo. Shadow goes to spin. And she is just out of there. Ready? Boom! As that clone goes up. A little unfortunate. I mean, I could have lost anyways, potentially, but probably not. So, like, this was... I think it's important to recognize that this is not a high roll game. Outside, the early game is, like good, right? I hit a Kane 2. I was on Senna. I wasn't like I hit, like, early Senna 2 or anything, right? It was just 1-star stuff. I hit an Alistair 2, which is really good. But it's not like I, like, hit a ton at the end of the game or anything. It was, like, middling... A very bad roll down, like an incredibly bad roll down on stage 4. Kind of poor augment selection on 4-2 as well for me, and also not like the best level 9 yet so far. Pretty rough fight RNG. Like Zed's going to the wrong thing every time, which again isn't like normally a huge problem, but when I'm playing with Z1, it becomes a much bigger problem. And we're in a spot to top 5 or to top 5 already. Looking very top 4 below. Again, we have a lot of room to cap. I'm still on half speed, my bad. So we go double speed again. Just wait for stuff to upgrade, stuff to pull in. We end up deciding to go for a little bit more damage on Zed, which is pretty good. Some items on Renekton. And actually, watch this. This is like Renekton. We end up going like Slayer mod Renekton here. And so this TF player, very meta comp, looks good. Renekton and Zed just blow them up. They die instantly, right? And so the cap of this board, this is TF, very meta comp, with Zac 2, right? This is not a bad board. I end up taking Bruiser Spat and trying to put it on Renekton, which I couldn't do because it was already on. And then my Zed jumps wrong side for the third time in this matchup. And this guy is like just super strong at this point. He's just super heavy, high capped. But we end up going third. We end up going third here, which I think that's a good example of like a relatively mid roll. Like there are high roll moments, but also low roll moments. Type of Zed game where, you know, again, you're not necessarily beating everything. Like most people don't get to level 10 Kobuko 2 everything or Leona 3, as this guy's Leona 3 over here. So like you can win some lobbies for sure, but it is a Scuttle Puddle lobby, so caps are higher. But it can do well. It can do well in lobbies like that and go top 3. And it's just a spot you can play for more consistency in general. Even from bad roll downs on 8, it's still playable, right? That core of units is just very strong, like that like Divinicore, Slayer, etc. stuff. So yeah, I think if you want to play some flex TFT, this is a good type of line to try. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like it and subscribe. And I will try to think of what to do. I'm going to be gone for the weekend, so there'll be nothing over the weekend. But I'm going to TC5, Technician's Crown 5 in New Jersey. It's a TFT LAN. But after I get back, I'll probably look to be making some more YouTube content. And hopefully we'll get something juicy going. So till then, bye-bye!